Just want to really quickly introduce something to you. We've been going through the letter to the Colossians. There's been an awful lot going on in the last few weeks with me personally and with the church in general. It's just been a bit crazy. I'm in a band with a bunch of guys, and we had a gig last night, got into bed about 1 o'clock. Dave's back. The amazing Shine Rewind. So yeah, on top of like a really mad couple of weeks with my mum, as many of you know, is not well at the moment. So we've been upwards and downwards and not much sleep and all the rest of it. So I stand here before you. I might be rabbiting, I might be gabbling more than usual, but here I am, and hopefully there's something valuable in there. Today I want to share a message with you that isn't on the screen because of technology, but shortly it will leap back into life when I replug it. But today the message I want to share with you is called It's More Beautiful. It's more beautiful. And if you take that, nothing else apart from this, from the service this morning, I want you to look at whatever you think about God, whatever you think about Jesus, whatever you think about this message that we're all kind of talking around and hovering around today, and say, however wonderful, however beautiful what you've already received looks, it's more beautiful. It's more beautiful. As I say, in this series we've been going through in Colossians, and this is a great resource, a book by Tom Wright, which goes into the book of Colossians and several others in more detail. We've got to verse 16, and we're moving into a new part of chapter 2. In the next sort of few preaches, we'll be exploring the second half of chapter 2, and it's moving into a different mode. And so today is just very much an introduction. We will be going into a lot more detail, but I'm just going to share it with you. So Colossians 2, chapter 2, verse 16. Therefore, do not let anyone condemn you in matters of food or drink. Oh, for goodness sake! Right. One day, we're going to have a functioning PowerPoint system. How about that? That would be amazing. Welcome to the 21st century, everyone. Yeah. And yay, there was a functioning PowerPoint system. Therefore, do not let anyone condemn you in matters of food or drink or observing festivals, new moons or Sabbaths. These are only a shadow of what is to come, but the body belongs to Christ. Do not let anyone disqualify you, insisting on self-abasement and worship of angels, initiatory visions, puffed up without cause by a human way of thinking, and not holding fast to the head, from whom the whole body, nourished and held together by its ligaments and tendons, grows with a growth that is from God. If with Christ you died to the elemental principles of the world, why do you live as if you still belong to the world? Why do you submit to regulations? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. All these regulations refer to things that perish with use. They are simply human commands. All these things, these regulations refer to things that perish with use. They are simply human commands and teachings. They have indeed the appearance of wisdom in promoting self-imposed piety, humility, and severe treatment of the body, but they are of no value in checking self-indulgence. There's an awful lot in there, and we're going to be exploring that in some detail as we go forward. But really, I just want to start off by today just using a few moments really to explore these ideas. What Paul is circling around is the whole idea of religion, of religious ideas, of religiosity, religion in the bad sense of the word. I mean, people say like, oh, are you religious? Do you go to church? Have you got a religion? I know what they mean. But I'm talking about religion in the bad sense of the word, that sense of religiosity. And how do those ideas form? And how do those communities form around those ideas, or the ideas form around the communities, whichever way it works? And really, to do that, I just want to share a little bit in the spirit of testimony. I want to share a little bit of my testimony with you today. This is very personal to me, but I wonder if you've experienced similar things as well yourselves. So I was raised, I have a church background. My grandpa was a brilliant man, lovely, lovely man. He died when I was still quite young, but he was just a superman, and my granny too. They were missionaries in India. They were Methodist. He was a Methodist minister. They were missionaries in India. So I have a church background in my family, or most of my family on my mum's side grew up going to church and that sort of thing. But me and my brother, my mum, my dad, we didn't go to church when I was a kid. I wasn't raised going to church. And then when I was 17, my friend told me that at the youth group here, there were loads of good-looking girls. So I came to church. See, God works in many ways, and that's as valid as any other. And just long story short, I'm going to be quite brief today, but when I came here, I was 17 years old. I had long hair, believe it or not. I've got the pictures to prove it. Who remembers me with long hair? Some of the old hands, well done. I found something. I found something when I came to church. I found something when I became a Christian that was compelling and vibrant and full of life. I'm articulating it now, then I couldn't have articulated it. I wouldn't have used those words. But now, looking back, I just knew that there was this thing. And the words that I would use to describe it, there was something that now I can articulate. It was compelling, it was vibrant, and it was full of life. And you find this thing and you're like, oh yeah, and you just want to fit in. And everyone knows more than you, and everyone knows Bible verses, and everyone knows all the words to the songs and the hymns and that sort of thing. And you just want to fit in, you just want to be part of everything. I didn't understand anything. I didn't know anything. I've been to like a C of E school, I knew a few of the stories and that sort of thing. But you just want to fit in. So everything everyone tells you, you just absorb. You absorb it, or I absorbed it. I'm speaking for myself. I say you, I mean me. You absorb it and you parrot it back. Apparently, because you feel this amazing, compelling draw to this amazing God. And people tell you that this is what God is like, and this is what the Bible says, and you go, oh, okay, because they obviously know more than you. So you just absorb it and you go on because you want to be part of the tribe. You want to fit in. You want to be part of the gang, and this is the gang, and this is God's people, and I want to be part of that, and this is what they say. So I just absorb it and spout it back, understanding very little of it. But as I came to reflect on that, as a few years went by, I came to reflect that a lot of what I was absorbing, it wasn't compelling, and it wasn't vibrant, and it wasn't full of life. There were questions, and maybe you've experienced this in church communities. There's questions that you really can't ask. People say you can, but when you do, they look really uncomfortable. Or you do, and they give you answers, and the answers are rubbish. You can ask the question, but you're going to get a really rubbish answer. I mean, no blame on any individuals. It's because they didn't have the answers. They were doing their best, and God bless them. This is not a criticism of any individuals. This is just my very personal take. I just want to share with you kind of who I am and where I'm coming from, and some of my vision for the church and what my ministry is about, I think. You receive a lot of things. People tell you about this thing called the good news, but the version of the good news that I absorbed, and I'm not going to go into detail about it, but the version of the good news I absorbed actually sounded a lot like bad news. It was bad news. And people used to say, why don't people share the good news? Because people aren't stupid and they know it's bad news, and they're not going to share it because they actually like their friends and they'd like to keep them. But you want to be part of the tribe. You want to be part of the tribe. You want to be accepted. You want to be, and this is God's team, right? Yeah, so you do your thing and you just feel guilty about not sharing the good news. But you keep going and you keep going and you want to be part of the tribe. And that works for a little while. Eventually, just being part of the tribe isn't enough. It needs to be real. It needs to be real in the places where we really live, just like Richard was saying earlier. It's reality. It's got to be reality. It's got to connect like that. It needs to make sense where the rubber really hits the road. And I think I got to my kind of lowest point, probably in my late 20s, early 30s, around that time. I can't remember exactly, but my faith was really weak. It was wishy-washy. I was really close, basically, just to jacking it all in. I wasn't really involved. I was really kind of disheartened, dispirited, demotivated. My faith was nowhere, really. What was I really ready to jack in? What was I really fed up with? Well, again, I can articulate it now. I was fed up with the religion, in the bad sense of the word. But what I mean by that is the Pharisee language. The stuff that sounded more like the Pharisees than sounded like Jesus. Again, at the time I couldn't have put it in those terms, but now looking back, It was the messages and the words. And again, no individual criticism here. We all kind of flow into these patterns. It's more like a spirit that rises up and comes down again and then rises up again. It's not about individuals. It's just the messaging that we sometimes lean into. And it sounds a lot more like the Pharisees than it does Jesus. It felt small, and it felt like death, and it felt mean, and it felt unkind sometimes, and it felt fearful and threatening and coercive sometimes. Not all the time, but bits. The words that lead to guilt and shame. The messages, because we always say, come one, come all, you're all welcome if you change. You're all accepted apart from the things in your life which are unacceptable. It's, the headline is this, but the subtext is that. It's that I just ground me down, and I couldn't do with it. All the messages that say you're not really loved, you're not really acceptable, you are unacceptable. In fact, you are far away, or this God is far away from you. The opposite of compelling and vibrant and full of life. But there are three things that rebuilt my faith, resurrected my faith from a place of being somewhere in the tomb. And I'm not quite sure what order these three things came in, but I want to share them with you today. And I hope that wherever you are on this journey, or whatever your experiences are, maybe one or more of them will be useful to you. And the first one is this: there is a difference between the things said about God and God himself. Now that might sound really obvious, but it's really easy to forget. God and the things said or written about God are two different things. And with the best will in the world, the things that human beings say or write about God come from a finite human brain and the capacity to articulate. Even if it's inspired, as we believe, God breathed, even if it's inspired by the Holy Spirit, it has to go through a human brain and a human mouth or a human hand that writes it down. So the things said about God are different from God himself. Useful to bear in mind. Second point, when you reach unsatisfying answers, keep asking questions. Keep asking better questions. When you seem to hit the low thing, when you seem to hit the brick wall, when you seem to hit but what is this even about? Like we said, when you find yourself in the valley of shadow, keep walking. Don't stop in that place, please. If you find yourself in the valley of shadow, don't stop. Keep walking. Get out of that place. When you hit the brick wall, when you hit what seems to be the floor of where you are, keep digging. Keep asking questions. Keep going. Keep digging. Keep digging. Don't give up. And the reason that you keep digging is because of this third part. If God is God, if there is a God and he is the finite God, if he is the creator God he is the infinite God. He's the infinite God. He's the creator of heaven and earth. He is above all and beyond all. He's also through all and in all. He is so much bigger and wider. What's the song we used to sing? So wide, you can't get whatever it is. You know the song. Oh, wonderful love. I remember that bit. However beautiful and wonderful and good and kind your finite human brain, my finite human brain, can imagine God to be, the infinite God must be so much more beautiful and good and kind. He must be, because if I can imagine in my finite brain good, how much do you imagine infinite good is greater than that? If I can imagine, if I can perceive beauty, how much more is God's beauty? I'm barely scratching the surface, surely. Folks, it's more beautiful. And that was a word. It was a word, if I've ever heard the audible voice of God, I don't know if I have, but if I ever have, the two occasions when I did, this was one of them. However beautiful you think I am, I'm more beautiful. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. In which case, my immediate second thought was, so all this ugliness, all this meanness, not all, but the stuff that we run into, anything that is small and petty and petty and smells of death and smells of fear and loathing and all that sort of stuff, it's got to be wrong. It's got to be wrong because God is more beautiful than I can possibly imagine. So armed with this faith, I kept on digging. And do you know what? I found the compelling and the vibrant and the full of life yet again. And of course, as you dig, you find out you're not alone. And actually, those loud and authoritative voices that spoke with such certainty and comprehensiveness, they're not actually the only voices. There's a whole bunch of other voices out there. That's why you need to keep digging. And in some cases, those voices were in the minority. They didn't tell you that, but they were in the minority. And in some cases, what they were spouting was, how can I put this politely? Richard was talking about his procedure. Let's say, use more technical language, sub-biblical would be the technical language, sub-biblical. It's folklore, it's pithy one-liners, stuff that sounds good, but the minute you scratch and ask a follow-up question, starts to fall apart pretty quickly. And actually, a lot of those difficult things and those questions that people didn't have answers for or didn't have good answers for, I found that actually there are some good answers, or at least there are honest conversations, humble conversations that Christians have been having for thousands of years. I found again the God that we meet in Jesus, full of kindness and compassion. Okay, fast forward to Spurgeon's College when I'm training for ministry. We had to do an essay, and I've spoken about this before, and this is absolutely my, there it is. We had to write an essay on the ecclesial minimum. Now, I'm going to explain to you very quickly. The ecclesial minimum, Rich will know this, some of you will know this, Stuart will know this. This is the minimum standard by which a church can be called a church. So they say, and this is debate, you talk about in theological training, what is the ecclesial minimum? What should feature as part of the ecclesial minimum? And those, if you've ever written academic essays, those essays where you write the introduction, and in the introduction you say, this question is rubbish, I'm not going to write my essay about this question. I did that because I hate that. I hate that. What is the church is the bride of Christ, okay? Imagine you walk up the aisle, up the bride comes, and she looks beautiful and radiant, and she's in a gorgeous wedding dress, and there's the husband, and he's awesome, and a vicar, a minister, someone like me says, welcome, thank you. We are gathered here today, brothers and sisters, to celebrate the fact that Juliet has met the minimum standard in order to be Richard's bride. Ladies, how's that going to go down? Yes. That is not part of the wedding ceremony for good reason, because it's rubbish. The church is the bride of Christ. And this has been my vision ever since that day. I have a vision, I long for a church community that celebrates the bride of Christ in all her beauty, her compassion, her wonderfulness, her complexity, her wonder. We don't want the bride. I remember writing my essay, using technical language, clever language. I was like, does Jesus want his bride to be so denuded, to be so diminished, to be so cut down that we define her by the minimum standard? That's rubbish. That's insulting. Instead, my friends, I am committed to a PA. Oh, it worked. Fabulous. It's a delayed action. The electrons have got to run to the front and back. I am committed to the ecclesial maximum. And this is my vision. My vision is for a church community that embraces this broad, wide, confident, colourful understanding of who we are meant to be. We don't want the bride of Christ to only have one dress that she kind of shambles down the aisle in, kind of a bit shabby, patched together, you know, a few things sewn up, not really clean. She wears it for work as well, and the housework and the gardening. That's not the bride of Christ. The bride of Christ has many, many dresses. If my wife were here, she'd be amening and hallelujahing. She has many dresses and she deserves many, many more. I'll just say that, Joe, when you catch up on this. It's not fearful. It's not petty. It's not small. It's faithful, not faithless. That means we trust. When we run into something tricky, we say, hey, God, you've got this. When we run into something that scares us, we say, I'm not going to be afraid because God tells me not to be afraid. When we run into something that seems that it's coercive and small and bitter and petty, we say, no. We've just got to keep digging because that can't be it, can it? Because, folks, it's more beautiful. It's more beautiful.